kids, where are you? It's time for all the art to tell stories.
The gymnasium buzzed with anticipation. The bleachers were packed with students, parents, and faculty, all eagerly awaiting the championship game between the Westwood High Wildcats and their arch rivals, the Eastwood High Eagles. The air was thick with the scent of popcorn and the sound of sneakers squeaking on the polished wooden floor. The Wildcats had made it to the finals after a grueling season, and now they were just one game away from glory. Among the players, one stood out not for his height or his skill, but for his heart. Peter Johnson, a senior and the team's point guard, was the soul of the Wildcats. At 5'9", he wasn't the tallest player on the court, but what he lacked in stature, he made up for in determination and leadership. Peter had always been the underdog, the kid who had to work twice as hard to prove himself. But tonight, he wasn't just playing for himself. He was playing for his team, his school, and everyone who had ever believed in him. The game started with a roar from the crowd as the Eagles won the tip-off. They were a formidable opponent, with a roster full of talented players who had been playing together since middle school. The Wildcats, on the other hand, were a scrappy bunch, a team of misfits who had somehow found a way to gel under Peter's leadership. The first quarter was a battle. The Eagles came out strong, their offense clicking like a well-oiled machine. They moved the ball with precision, finding open shots and capitalizing on every Wildcat mistake. By the end of the quarter, the Eagles were up by 10 points, and the Wildcats were struggling to keep up. Peter knew they were in trouble. He could see the doubt creeping into his teammates' eyes. They were playing scared, afraid to make mistakes, and it was costing them. During the timeout, Peter gathered his team around him. "Listen up," he said, his voice steady but firm. "We've been here before. We've faced tougher teams, and we've come out on top. This is just another game. We can't let them intimidate us. We've worked too hard to let it slip away now." His words seemed to resonate with the team. They nodded, their eyes locking onto his, and for a moment, the doubt seemed to fade. But as the second quarter began, the Eagles continued to dominate. Their star player, Marcus Carter, was unstoppable, scoring at will and shutting down the Wildcats' offense. By halftime, the Wildcats were down by 15 points, and the mood in the locker room was grim. Coach Reynolds tried to rally the team, but his words fell on deaf ears. The players were slumped on the benches, their heads hanging low, the weight of the game pressing down on them. Peter couldn't stand it. He stood up, his voice cutting through the silence. "This isn't over," he said, his voice rising. "We've come too far to give up now. Yeah, we're down, but we're not out. We've got to believe in ourselves, in each other. We've got to play like we've never played before." His words sparked something in his teammates. They looked up at him, their eyes filled with a mixture of hope and determination. Slowly they began to nod, their spirits lifting. "Let's do this," said Jake, the team's center, his voice filled with resolve. The second half began with a renewed sense of purpose. The Wildcats came out firing, their defense tightening and their offense finding its rhythm. Peter was everywhere, diving for loose balls, dishing out assists, and hitting clutch shots. He was the heart and soul of the team, and his energy was infectious. The Eagles, caught off guard by the Wildcats' sudden surge, began to falter. Their shots stopped falling, and their defense started to crack. The Wildcats chipped away at the lead, point by point, until with just 2 minutes left in the game, they were only down by 3. The crowd was on its feet, the noise deafening. The Eagles called a timeout, trying to regroup, but the momentum was firmly on the Wildcats' side. Peter gathered his team one last time. "This is it," he said, his voice calm but filled with intensity. "We've got 2 minutes to make history. We've got to leave everything on the court. No regrets." The team nodded, their eyes locked on his. They knew what they had to do. The final minutes of the game were a blur. The Wildcats played with a ferocity that left the Eagles reeling. Peter hit a 3-pointer to tie the game, and then, with just seconds left on the clock, he drove to the basket, weaving through defenders and sank the game-winning shot. The buzzer sounded, and the gym erupted in cheers. The Wildcats had done it. They had come back from a 15-point deficit to win the championship. The players mobbed Peter, lifting him onto their shoulders as the crowd chanted his name. In that moment, Peter wasn't just a basketball player, he was a hero. He had led his team to victory, not with his skill alone, but with his heart, his determination, and his unwavering belief in his teammates. He had shown them that no matter how tough the odds, they could overcome anything if they believed in themselves and each other. As the celebration continued, Peter looked around at his teammates, his friends, and the crowd that had cheered them on. He knew that this moment would stay with him forever, a reminder of what they had accomplished together. And as he stood there, surrounded by the people he cared about most, he knew that he had truly become the hero of the basketball court. If you like our stories, please like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell so you won't miss exciting stories every day. You are also welcome to share it with family and friends to listen to the story together. Love you.